makes me crazy. I dream about our babies. Gazing them days and contagious, you're my baby. We know each other like the back of our hands. Understand, there's no mistaking, I'm taking, 'cause you're my drug.
What's good, YouTube? It's your girl, Asia.
And it's your boy, BJ.
Back in the building.
Back in effect. Back like we never left. And y'all, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and pulling up for another pull-up session with Asia and BJ Reacts. I think we got a really good one today. We're going to be checking out Jordan Peterson. And he's basically, in this one, the title of it is he's giving advice to people with strong relationships.
Advice for strong relationships from Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
So yeah, this should be good. I feel like, y'all, I don't know what Jordan did. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what Jordan did, y'all. But, I mean, the last video that we did from him, I feel like it was something that was sent to me for me to get something out of it from like a personal from a personal standpoint. So this one, I'm just like, okay, now we can kind of converse back and forth because it's actually to do with relationships. But, I mean, I'm interested to still keep learning about him based off of the comments. Yeah,
and then learning more about him based on just like his dialect, things he talk about, just his point of view as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only reason why I'm saying it is because like based off of like the comments, like going through the comments and stuff like that, like a lot of people there was a lot of pushback and a lot of controversial type of dialect between people, arguments almost, because some think that he's a good person and he's great, he's very intellectual, because he's a doctor, but others was like, stay far, far away, like run. Okay. So I'm
gonna make that assessment for myself today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think as we kind of continue to learn about him and get an understanding of him, we'll start figuring out that assessment as we go, But for now, I'm just like, okay, let me just take it in, y'all, okay?
And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
One video at a time.
Dang.
One topic at a time, and base your analysis on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't know. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, join the family, y'all.
Absolutely.
And let's hop into this video.
Let's go.
Here we go.
Strange.
So what advice can you give to people who are looking to have a strong and meaningful and lasting relationship with someone?
Well, the first thing is to decide if that is really what you want.
Is that fair, do you think, to say, I want to be single forever? Do you think that's realistic or fair assessment of oneself?
I think that's, for most people, a pathway to insanity.
Yeah.
The psychoanalysts used to think that, and we all think this way in some ways, that you're sane because you're well put together. Your psyche is well structured, right? It's internal, somehow inside your head. But, and there's some truth in that, but here's a more accurate viewpoint, I think. You outsource most of your sanity because it's too complicated. And so what you do is your parents raise you to be vaguely acceptable to other people. And then you're surrounded by other people your whole life. And then every time you go off the rails a little bit, even just a little bit, people signal to you. Like, you make a joke, it's not that funny, and people don't laugh. And you think, oh, well, I should probably rethink my sense of humor a little bit or pay more attention. Or you tell a rambling story and you notice that everyone's, like, lost in the distance. And so if you're civilized enough so that people don't shun you and you have people around you, then they're going to be always telling you how to not be too insane. Well, if you're alone, you drift.
Right.
You drift,
right.
And you'll drift in the direction of your biggest weakness. And so, there are some people, maybe they're...
You drift in the direction of your biggest weakness. What does he mean by that?
I think he just means by that because, like you said, you don't really have anybody that's around you in your circle that's helping you sometimes, like, regulate your own thoughts. And, when, like you said, when you're alone, you're kind of left to be left with your own thoughts. So you can drift in whatever direction that your loneliness has you in. Basically. When you have somebody around you, it just kind of helps keep you regulated. In regards to someone else having a different point of view than what you have. So then you can kind of psychoanalyze it from a different perspective and use that information to sometimes make a different decision or have a different mindset. But like you said, when you're just alone, then it's just you and your thoughts, and whatever you think is probably what it's going to be.
Okay.
Weakness. And so, there are some people, maybe they're introverted and disagreeable. They're not cut out for a lot of social contact. But we're social animals, man, right to the core.
Sure.
And it's a suboptimal solution for the vast majority of people. I think that people are having a harder time finding, like, let's call them more permanent relationships, is because it's become increasingly easy to have fleeting, casual, sexual relationships. I mean, Tinder is a revolution, right? It's a revolution in sexual behavior, and it's certainly not obvious that it's
Is it a social thing? Is it just technology? Is this what people want to be doing? Because you think the
It's
fleeting,
easier.
yeah,
in some ways.
but the technology has enabled this fleeting sexual activity.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. And that's,
But-
we don't want to underestimate how radical a technology that is. That's especially for men.
I do feel that deep down that all these people, men and women alike, are always longing for something more meaningful.
I would agree. I was just about to say that. I feel like too, because a lot of the people that I talk to that are single, that have been in, and we've heard this, multiple times with some conversations within the fam, of people longing to have love, longing to be in relationships. But I feel like, and what he's referring to is because there's so many, there's so much availability and options, if you will, that it creates insecurity, I feel like, amongst people in general, like single people in general, because it gives you so many options. It's just like, okay, I don't like this person, swipe, you know what I mean? I don't like him, I never have to talk to him again. Yeah, it's only just about, sex and what they can get out of it, and in that moment, money, whatever the case might be that they might be looking for potentially, and then they move on to the next person. And it's so convenient. Like, the technology has made it so convenient. And I feel
because you don't have to put much effort into it. All you have to do is just text somebody and, there's a list of people in my area and I can find them now. Right. Rather than you actually really put it in the work and having to court somebody and really build something.
But that convenience, I feel like and the accessibility, it doesn't.
It can be a detriment.
It's definitely that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it slows down the process, because if you think, even being social, you go to the club. Granted, it's the club. But I'm just like, when you meet people at the club, how serious do you think that really is if you meet somebody at the club?
Same way with the Tinder.
Right. That's what I mean. It's
the club.
How serious? You come across somebody on Tinder and it's like, oh, he's so cute. He's handsome. He's charming. He's all of these things.
It's the new age club.
Yeah. But it's just like, okay, yeah, no, there's all these things that are wrong with this person, but it's just like, shoot, everybody else is like, shoot, well, let me get in on the action then, you know what I mean? So it kind of clouds up the good ones, if you will, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes,
and that was making the search so much harder.
Makes the playing field a lot harder.
Yeah.
That deep down that all these people, men and women alike, are always longing for something more meaningful.
Well, I think that that's generally the case. I mean, part of the reason for a relationship is sexual contact, obviously. Well, that's that you don't necessarily need a relationship for that, but that's not the reason to be with someone. The reason to be with someone, when there's a lot of them. So one is, well, kids who have two parents do far better. Period. The data on that is crystal clear. It doesn't mean that there aren't many single parents who struggle to do a wonderful job. Right? That's not the same thing. It's an average issue. So plus, it's a lot of work to have kids. You kind of need to divide up the labor, especially in the first year or two, because the woman is completely overwhelmed in the first year, and she needs somebody around to take care of her while she's taking care of the kid, fundamentally, or at least that's the way it looks to me. So there's that. You need the stable basis for children, and it takes them a long time to mature, and they need to learn that relationships are trustworthy, right? So there's utility and stability there. But then also, you kind of want to tangle your life together with someone, because you have someone to well, it's like two ropes that are tangled together. It's stronger, especially during times of weakness. And you have two brains instead of one. And that actually turns out to be really helpful when things are complicated. And it builds a solidity into your life and a reality into your life to have someone who's along with you on this very long voyage. And so I think that deepens your life in a way that isn't really possible with fragmentary relationships as a single person.
Definitely.
And then there's more to it than that. It's like, I think of wrestling. There's this scene in the Old Testament where Jacob wrestles with an angel. He's wrestling with God, actually, which is quite an interesting. That's what Israel means, right? Wrestling with God. Yeah, that just blew me away when I learned it. It's so
Is that true?
The true people of
Hebrew?
Israel are those who wrestle with God.
Wrestle
Yeah,
with
it's
God.
not believe exactly. It's a whole different thing, man. It's a whole different thing. And
Isn't
so,
it like fear from God? What it means? That's what I thought.
well, from the work I did in the last couple of months looking at this, and I looked into it quite deeply, it does mean wrestling, essentially. And it does derive from that scene in the Old Testament where Jacob wrestles with God. That's when he gets the name Israel. And his hip is dislocated, right? Permanently. He has a permanent limp after that. It's no joke. But I think of marriage the same way. Like people think, well, they lived happily ever after. It's like, that's not what you want in a marriage.
Yeah.
You want someone to contend with, you know, because you learn through that wrestling, you know, like you learn where you're an idiot and where you should stop being and vice versa. So that's the spiritual aspect of marriage. It's the fact that you have to contend with someone under all sorts of circumstances, theoretically is what would you say? It's a manner of promoting psychological, or you could say spiritual growth. And it's genuine. You know, that's why marriage is a sacrament in most human communities, right? It's stamped both by the state and by the sacred authorities, because it's not just a physiological union. That's what animals do. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with the physiological union, but it has to be placed in the context of everything else a human being is. And I do think it's dreadful for people not to have that.
Yeah, and kind of what he's talking right now in regards to like just a relationship is like really like a person being a full human, like being able to have like that full human interaction, that full human experience while you're alive, is to like be able to have somebody that's on that journey with you for the rest of your life. Like he said, so you can learn from that other person in regards to like some of your weaknesses based on that person's strengths, and then that person's weaknesses based on your strengths. You know?
Yeah, and I do think it's a complimentary type of thing too. You know, like make each other better. Like you said, it's just a contender type of thing, and you figure out each other's flaws. And but the thing is though, when you just kind of combing through people and just going through, you know what I mean? It's like you can't find that particularly. You don't have enough time.
Yeah, because
there's not enough time to do that.
Yeah,
because I feel like that takes a lot of time.
You need years just to be able to feel somebody out.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you friendships, relationships, marriage, you know, boyfriend and girlfriend, like I feel like moving in together, like you can be together for a long time, and then once you move in together, it's like that's like a whole nother can of. You know what I mean?
It's a whole different type of experience because, like you said, when you know, it's just a whole different type of experience because now you're with that person a lot more, and now you're seeing a lot more different things.
Learning each other, how to cope with each other, like in each other's space, the environment. It's a whole different setup.
It is.
And so, I would have to agree.
I like what he's touching on in regards to this too, because that has a lot to do with like the human experience, being able to have that other person that can kind of walk through life with you.
I mean, there are people, I feel like there are people out there, strong-minded, that have themselves very well put together. But I don't know if you would ask each and every one of them that because they're on that status and they feel like they've accomplished, you know, a good amount of whatever they are or wherever they are in life, that they don't necessarily feel like they need another person or want that. I feel like sometimes it might be even more fun to have that type of lifestyle where you've accomplished so much, you've done all these things for yourself, and you feel like maybe like, hey, I just want to just play the playing field because I don't need anybody to take this away from me. You know what I mean? Because you know I can see that. That's a whole nother situation when you bringing somebody into a situation like that. Not necessarily that they're even if they're on the same type of level, I still think there is a variance in people. Some people want that and want love. Some people want that and don't want anything to do with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're still very stable, very headstrong, very
that too.
put together.
Yeah, their mind, everything is well put together. You can go and talk to them, and they can have a great conversation. But at the end of the day, like in their mind and somewhere in their heart, they're going to yearn for something that's a lot more deeper than just, oh, I have a great career, I have this, I have X, Y, Z. Like, they're going to yearn for something way more deeper on a way more, like you said, beyond a physiological level. Like, you're going to be yearning for something on an emotional level, like on a human level, you know?
Do you think those people, though, like, would they have a lot of complicated type of issues when it comes to, like, relationships? Maybe they're not in a relationship because they're just not good at it, but they're good at life, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but just life in general.
And that's why that particular person, based on that weakness, needs to get with somebody that can help them along with that.
Be
to
that
be able
contender
to
fix them.
help mold them.
Yeah, and bring them up to that
level.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey,
that's what I feel like.
That doesn't mean that person has to be rich either. Okay, they can be somebody that's not on their level, but like it's probably everything that they need. You know what I mean?
That's what they need. That's what I'm saying. that's what they've been missing.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Everything else a human being is. And I do think it's dreadful for people not to have that. And
Do you think
There you go.
it's become harder for people to have meaningful, lasting relationships, or has it always been this hard? I feel like I thank God that I'm not dating now, because I feel like it seems like it's miserable out there right now
well, it's
to
hard.
try to meet people.
It is.
Oh, we've heard that so many times.
Yeah, just with people that we speak to. So yeah.
We just heard that on what, Friday? Oh, I'm done. You know what I mean?
My heart goes out to people like that because
Yeah.
I want everybody to find some type of happiness, especially with another companion, with a partner.
And sometimes I feel like it's good people looking for good people. It's just like you just aren't finding the right good
gotta find
people,
them.
you
Yeah.
know?
I feel like it
Yeah,
must.
find
It seems like it's miserable out there right now.
Well, it's
To try
hard.
to meet people.
It is hard although, it's easier to meet people because there's more ways of meeting them.
Right.
But the
Exactly.
ways of meeting them are more shallow. In my clinical practice, I would say that the rise of the internet dating option has actually overall been good for people who are looking for a partner. Now, there is some speculation and some evidence that it lowers the transaction price of separation and divorce. Because one of the reasons you don't separate or you don't get divorced is like, well, you're going to find someone else. And if it's easier to find someone else, then perhaps you're more tempted to sever the relationship. So maybe you lose in one place where you gain in the other. But I think there are different kinds of hard that it is. It's hard for couples to figure out how to manage two careers. It's hard for women to figure out how to get educated and get their career launched at the same time that they're finding a partner and having kids. Because women have this tight time frame, they've got to get a lot done by the time they're mid-30s for sure.
Exactly.
And so it's not much time, it's like 15 years really from the time you're an adult. You better get at it.
That's not a long time. Wow.
It's not very long.
Right.
So I think there are new challenges that have arisen that weren't there for previous generations. But previous generations had it hard in other ways.
That's very
So-
true. Yeah. Like dying
Like they
at
died.
50.
Yeah. Or in childbirth,
yeah.
for example.
I feel like people also need to like understand how to make a relationship work. Like it's not just magic. You need to kind of put in the work to make it work.
It's hard.
You need
It's
to put
challenging.
in effort and
Yeah.
compromise a lot of times on, like if you live by yourself, you can do everything the way you would want.
Yeah.
If you live with someone else, then there's compromises to make.
Yes.
But in the long picture, it's better for you.
Well, that's it. That's it. There's sacrifices to be made in the short term.
Yeah.
And I mean, people have to. The effort issue is like, well, when you're in love with someone, you're going to organize your schedule and make them a priority. And, that's in some ways a fleeting state, although it's not necessarily as fleeting as people think it is, but whatever. It's obviously a priority. And then you get married and, you kind of get accustomed to having each other around, and then everything else is more important and the relationship drifts to the bottom. And then people get dissatisfied and they start looking for excitement and adventure otherwise. Well, you can't do that. You have to prioritize the relationship. Like my observation clinically has been for a couple to maintain their relationship without it deteriorating, they have to spend 90 minutes a week together talking about their lives, about how the house is run, about what they've all been doing to keep their stories caught up, right?
That's not really even that much.
No, it's not.
you
It's
know.
not. It's not that much.
Yeah.
But and which is a good thing. You can actually do it. And then they need to spend at least one time having a date. And 2 is better. 1 is necessary. 2 is better. You can't aim for a lot more than that because, you know, life is very busy. And if it's going to be sustainable, it has to be realistic.
Yeah.
But they need to make time for each other
Hitting it right on the head with that right there.
twice a week and talk in a non-romantic way, just practically about the domestic economy and about everything that's going on, and that keeps people tied to each other and updated. And so that's sort of your minimal commitment level if you don't want things to deteriorate.
Oh, so communication is very, very key. Like I feel like that's
He said that for the end too.
Yeah, communication is detrimental. I feel like because there's a lot of times I feel like, you know, hell, even in times like where, you know, I mean, just to keep it real, like in times I feel like we've argued about stuff. I feel like the argument is more about miscommunication, like things that we weren't clear about with each other. You know what I mean?
And that may be going back to what he's saying, sitting down and talking. And
yeah. And gaining that clarity and taking the time. Like one thing I will say, I know, you know, we talk a lot to each other most of the time because we work with each other. But most of the time we're talking, it's about work, you know, so the times that we do have, like I feel like that may be something, hey, that we probably could implement more because I feel like we don't take an hour and a half to talk about
just us,
just
like you said, the household, or like that's perfect advice because you, like you said, you have to kind of like update yourself in regards to like what's everything that's going on, like
how you
for
feeling,
the week or the last
like,
couple of weeks.
What's been going on in your mind? Like what's been on your mind? Like how are you feeling? Like asking those simple questions, maybe like even just to get a better understanding of like, you know, your days, how you feeling, like. Yeah, like I can take that. I take that. I mean,
and that could lead into other things in regards to communication and conversation too. Like once you, like you say, you start asking those questions,
just having more dialect and conversations between each other. And I feel like that's definitely one thing. And it seems like
he hit me with that.
Yeah, like most of the time, granted we talk it out, we figure it out, but most of the time that like once we get down to the nitty gritty of like what it is about, it's a matter of like how we both feel individually, but neither of those feelings have been communicated to each other for us to compromise with it, you know,
in a correct way.
In the correct way. Yeah. So, which ultimately leads to an argument.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It leads to like, you know, bumping heads.
Yeah.
It can lead to bumping heads because, like you said, you're not getting that you know, that weekly update in regards to how you're feeling. That every, you know, couple of weeks. We sit down and talk, like he said, every week, sitting down for just an hour and a half. Because a lot of people, you do find a lot of people in relationships, like you know, just like he said, that's married, they start drifting away from like that part of the relationship, speaking about how they feel and things like that, and everything else kind of becomes like a priority.
Even
like
the dating
like
part of it, like
that too.
Going out and for a date. I mean, like, you know, I think women in general, I don't necessarily feel like I need to be pampered and, you know, hold my hand and lovey-dovey me, but I do want to be courted. I do want to feel like you want me, even though, you know, we are married. I want to feel wanted, you know what I mean? Like needed, you know, all those things, even though I know I'm needed because I do a lot as the mom, the wife, you know what I mean? Just in general, and vice versa, you know what I mean? But I just feel like, you know, when you go and you take the extra steps to show appreciation or just to show those little bits of just love, you know what I mean? Just
it keeps it going.
Yeah,
you know?
it keeps it going.
Not even necessarily keeps it going. It helps keep it healthy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
and normalcy and some type of regularity
Right.
in the relationship, like
Yeah.
you said, because and a lot of things that he said did kind of strike true. Like I said, like people being lonely. Like I feel like a lot of people out there are lonely and they're trying to find somebody. They're trying to find love, even though they might be finding it in the wrong places. Or on the wrong app, or going to the wrong club, or putting themselves in the wrong in a certain societal
Yeah, but then
setting.
there's a lot of people out there
what I
that's
mean?
just like that are out there that are young-minded, if you will, that are just kind of, everything that has to be sifted through to get to the treasure chest. You know what I mean? 'Cause
but me, I know people that's like in their 30s though, like
yeah,
going into their 30s, 31, 32, and they just like they miserable because they lonely.
or
you know what I mean?
you get people who are in relationships and they don't get out of them because they're just comfortable. Like it's just convenient. It's easier to stay in a relationship than to get out of it and try to find your way on your own and start over and be independent and try to figure out what that feels like. You know what I mean? Because there's some people that feel like they have to have somebody and they'll take anybody that'll take them. You know what I mean? And so what do you get out of that? You know what I'm saying? So long term, I feel like it is gonna make you miserable.
It is. It might not today, but eventually I feel like it will, because like I said, as a human, you need that type of connection. You need that human emotion to be tapped into.
Yeah.
You can't just shun it and put it off. You have to be able to experience every single human emotion and every realistic human experience. You should be able to experience.
Yeah.
Which means building a relationship with another person and a lifelong partnership.
And just the key thing to that is like it takes a lot of time. It like work, effort,
absolutely
commitment. You know what I mean? Into doing exactly that. Even if a boyfriend and girlfriend engaged, just in general, it takes a lot of time.
You gotta put that work in, y'all.
Yeah, it takes. I don't know anybody that'll tell you different. If you're not putting in work and the effort, and you're not, then I don't know what you expect to get out of it if you're not putting yourself into it that way. You know what I mean? And if you don't feel that way and you just in it, because like I said, it's the comfortability and the convenience, then you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
And you're wasting their time.
I enjoyed this one just because we were able to like take some things from this. I feel a lot of people that's in relationships or not even in a relationship could definitely take something from this particular clip and video from Jordan Peterson, because there were some very insightful things in there as well.
Yeah.
Things that you can take with you for sure.
Agree. So y'all let us know what y'all thought about this. Okay, I learned something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to talk to me an hour and a half every day.
It was enjoyable. No, he said once a week.
Oh.
Yeah. But we can do it we can do it every other day. Yeah.
Wait.
Rather than once a week, we can do it every other day.
Don't be just trying to yell me into everything either. Okay, yeah.
No, we gotta really tap in on a real level, like he said. Like for real.
Right. I'm just going off of what Ed said last night. I'm just saying, Ed, okay? I said it. No. All right, y'all.
I said it and I meant it.
Just yell everything and it'll stop, okay? But if y'all enjoyed this video, be sure you give us a big thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification, y'all. Join the family. And if ain't nobody else told you, I love you. And we're going to see y'all in the next video, y'all.
Absolutely. Peace and blessings, y'all.
Yeah. Bye.
Lust in your body, boy, I'm addicted.